Hey, what's going on, guys? Blunt Guts here. This is a Watcher of Realms video. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I always appreciate it. Appreciate you spending your time with me here. I want to talk about the banners that are coming this weekend, and honestly, I want to talk to you about why you should not be pulling on them. So let's go check them out. So pretty slim pickings this weekend. We've got the 2X banners. You know how I feel about those. Never really a bad time to summon on them, but at the same time, why would you? Because they're there every single goddamn weekend. Now, as far as the specific hero right up here, we do have Aeris and Khamet on a 15X. We also got Rhox and Cyrene, and Tazira is her name on the back. Rhox and Cyrene, great heroes. Wouldn't be pulling for him, honestly. Rhox, I don't know. You know, I thought Rhox was going to be better than he was. I tried to use him in the Hellfire Codex this past week. Did not do as much for me as I thought he might. But Aeris and Khamet are great heroes. I'm going to talk about them very, very quickly. Try to highlight some key awakenings. But again, I don't think you should be summoning for them. I'll explain why afterwards. Let's go take a look at their awakenings. All right, I love Aeris. Aeris is very similar to Valkyra, a hero that many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. Aeris is a fighter. He's a long-range anti-air fighter. He only hits air units during his ultimate and with his skill Mighty Thrust, I do believe, which I think goes off every 4 or 5 attacks, something along those lines. So while he can hit air, it's only under certain circumstances, so that is something you should be aware of. But the only awakening that you really need to worry about with this dude is the A1 here. Increases basic attack range by 1. Golden Trammel, which is a slowing effect that he does trigger whenever he triggers his ultimate. Also inflicts damage reduction on enemies. That damage reduction is 20%. Now, this is a great skill for GVG. So on top of the slow that he does put out with Golden Trammel, 50% slow for enemies that are basically within his ultimate range, he also is going to reduce the damage that they do by 20%, which is great. Really, really nice skill. I do love that. The big thing, though, is increasing his range by 1. So his standard range is 3 tiles. When he does use his ultimate, that goes up to 4 tiles. However, when you do get this, he is going to extend that standard range to 4 tiles, and during the ultimate, it will be 5 tiles. Basically the same awakening for Valk at A1, and also for her, the most important one that she does have. This is the one that is really going to give you, I'd say, 90% of what the hero is. But there are some other ones here. I'll go through them real quick, but I don't think any of these are really worth pulling for. The A2 plus 300 attack is nice. Extra base attack, never a bad thing. The A3 during the ultimate Mighty Thrust deals an extra 100% damage one time. This is not double damage. This is an extra 100% damage on the multiplier. I tested this. It is very insignificant as far as its total damage output, so I would not go for this one. The A4 is plus 8% penetration. In a mode like GVG, this is always really helpful, but also you have to pull 5 copies of him to get this. I don't think this is something worth specifically pursuing. Rather, it's something to be happy about if you get lucky enough to randomly get 5 copies of him over time, then hey, yeah, be excited about that 8% penetration. Before then, don't worry about it. And kind of similarly, this A5, Mighty Thrust and Destiny's Decree ignore 20% of the target's magic resist. Now, these are 2 hard-hitting components of his kit, but it is not his entire kit. It is essentially 20% penetration, specific to magic damage, which is all that he does, so it's good, but again, 6 copies of him to get this. I don't think this is worthwhile. You're getting most of what this hero does on the A1. So if you have to pull, which again, I don't recommend that you do this weekend, only pull for the A1. Let's go talk about Khamet's Awakenings. And then there is Khamet. He is a fantastic AoE mage. I really do love Khamet. He was one of the first heroes I ever got. I got him alongside Hex on my first 1+1, and oh god, it really set up my account. But he is mainly helpful to early game accounts. So if you are an endgame player and you don't have Khamet for whatever reason, I just wouldn't be all that concerned about picking him up. You'll get him eventually, more than likely. But at the end of the day, he's just not going to do all that much for you. There's really no place in the game you really need him right now. Gear Raid 1, he did have a brief kind of resurgence in the new Esotericist trial. So that's something, I guess, if you really need that. If you really need help clearing that, then that could be some place that you might use him. He did make an appearance in the Codex that was released recently, but that was because of a bug. I don't expect that to be the case the next time that Codex does come around. So I just don't know that you need him, honestly. And if you have other AoE mages on your account, and I don't know he's bringing anything to the table that those other mages are not. Now, if you are an early game account, I do recognize there is kind of a dearth of epic AoE mages in this game. It's pretty much Greed and Iona are the only traditional AoE mages that are somewhat accessible early on in the game, and unfortunately, they're relatively rare. So, if you need an AoE mage to advance in Gear Raid 1, you could pull on this. With that said, there's a limited hero, which I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes, who is coming on a limited banner a week from now, who, in my opinion, is significantly better than Khamet. Not just at being an AoE mage, but also just in more areas of the game. So I would personally wait for that. But let's go through the Awakenings right now. The short answer, if you do want to skip ahead, is you don't need any of these. The A1 is Infernal Plague, can bounce to one extra target. Basically, when he kills an enemy, he does bonus damage that splashes onto a nearby target. This increases the number of targets that can be hit by that damage. It's nice, but it doesn't really substantially change the way that he plays. The A2, plus 5% attack, more base attack, always good, especially for a mage. The A3 increases the ultimate attack range, and in my opinion, this is the most important one. This is the best awakening that he does have. It basically gives him, if you think of like a Vortex's healing range, this is going to expand Khamet's attack range during the ultimate to that range. So much bigger attack range, basically widens the attack range, which is really nice, but not essential by any means. The A4, Rage Regen Auto +1. We hate that. I hate the Rage Regen, especially one more rage per second is just, it's not good. And then the A5, when dealing damage, Infernal Plague inflicts Curse on the target. Curse, basically, for 3 seconds, units cannot perform their basic attack, which sounds really good, but you have to be killing things in order for this to get triggered, and it's very situational, and it just does not do enough for my tastes for an A5. Let's go talk about why I don't think you should be pulling this weekend at all. So in their infinite wisdom, the developers have decided that they are going to give us a little bit of advance notice as far as what is coming down the pipeline in this game, and that is just phenomenal news for everybody. It has been missing since they really cracked down on the leaks, and I gotta say, I hope that this is something that they do continue. This better not be just because of the Easter event, but we are getting a Easter event preview right here, and it is going to cover the banners for basically the rest of April. So let's go through it here real quick, because this is why I think you should be saving. There's some really good things coming down the pipeline. So of course, they're going to be giving us a bunch of stuff, 28 ancient summoning crystals. There's 113 summons we're going to get. On top of that, there is going to be what seems like a free skin for Anora, which is awesome, not to mention Anora's exclusive artifact and Valderon's exclusive artifact. More on that in a second. Anora is going to be coming on the 17th in a limited banner, guaranteed by your 200th summon. If you do summon her before that, then that guarantee does go away, but you can continue pulling on the banner in the hopes of getting more copies. My hope is that this is going to be the first 20x banner. Limited banners in the past have been a bit disappointing because the 15x just really hasn't been cutting it. I had an instance like the Wukong banner, for example. I think I pulled 15, 16 legendaries on that, and I got 1 extra copy of Wukong. That really should never happen. I mean, I'm talking about, like, if I had bought those summons, I had saved, but if I had bought them, it would have been, I don't know, like $1,000, $1,500, something like that. Like, that's just crazy. I don't understand how they expect people to pay if they're going to keep rates like that. That just does not seem to compel participation with your wallet, in my mind. And of course, they want to make money, right? So make it worthwhile to spend in this game. Just my 2 cents. You're going to catch more players that way than you are by making it ultra rare, but just my perspective. Alongside that banner, coming the next day, we are going to have a banner for Lyra as well as Talon. Talon is a new hero who is very unique. I have seen other people talking about this, so I'm going to mention it as well, even though we're not supposed to be releasing any information until Friday about them. But Talon is a very unique hero. She is a marksman, piercer, watcher, dual faction membership. She can be placed on a tile and has standard single target marksman range. However, when you do place her on the ground, and that's right, you can also place her on the ground, she just kind of transform into a ground-based unit, which is really interesting. More on that on Friday. I will have a video out about Talon and her skills at that point. But yeah, very, very interesting hero. Very curious to see how that manifests in-game. Lyra is also a great hero. She's dual faction as well, Infernal and Esotericist. She does not do a ton of damage, but she does have a calling card, which is her ability to put 30% magic resist reduction on targets, which is really, really good, especially for a single target mage. We don't have a lot of those. We definitely don't have any other single target damage dealers in the game that can put that kind of magic resist reduction on an enemy. So really great to see. Next up is a banner that I didn't know about at the time. I wasn't sure was coming at the time, but I had a sneaking suspicion. And last week I did make a video specifically asking the developers not to put this out. Apparently my concerns went unheeded. So we've got Valderon, we've got Ymir on a banner here. Look, I said it in my video. I'm not going to go too deep down the rabbit hole this time, but what I will say is that I don't think that Ymir should be considered a lord. I don't think that Ajax should be considered a lord. That's no news to anybody. The developers have been in staunch opposition of making any change to that since the inception of this game. But at the same time, it really does suck when you put 2 heroes on a banner, especially when the feature hero here, which unquestionably is Valderon, the only hero who is actually a lord on this banner, has not been on a banner for, 8 months now, since August of 2024. So this is just way too long, one, for him to not have been on a banner. I consider him part of the big 3, being Valderon, Praetus, and Ingrid. Those are, in my opinion, the 3 best legendary lords in the game. And there are some other ones that are really great. Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. But I do think that those are game-changing legendaries. Valdoran's probably the least of those 3, but at the same time, I do think he enables a lot, and he is exceptionally powerful, if for no other reason than he does enable the chaotic units in this game. I personally don't have a chaotic legendary lord. I need him. I really want Valdoran. I've wanted him since he was released. I've waited 8 months for a banner, and now it's going to be a coin flip when I do hit my Lord Mercy, basically, between him and Ymir, and that just sucks. So I don't love that. That is why I am upset about it. But I know that many of you commented on my video and told me that you know, you're perfectly happy pulling Ymir on your Lord Mercy. To each their own, I suppose. I can't agree with you on that, but to each their own. Coming up after that, we are going to have Hatset and Twyla, 2 of my favorite heroes in the game. Great Nightmare heroes. That is the following week, coming on the 25th of April. That's draft weekend if you guys are football fans. Probably a minority in the Watcher of Realms community, I imagine, but I am super stoked about that as well. I'll be a little bit more excited about draft weekend than Hatset and Twyla, but these are phenomenal heroes, and I would say that either one of these heroes is better than the heroes that are on the banner that is coming this weekend with Aeris and Khamet. And then on top of that, we are going to be seeing new skins for Twyla, for Anora, which does seem to be free. I think this one is going to be, Twyla is going to be available from a limited bundle. And then we're going to be seeing an Ugly as Sin Valderon banner. That is just god-awful. Event shop coming up. Cool stuff here. Exclusive artifacts. They're also going to be having gleaming meteorites in there, which I think is a phenomenal change that they should be doing on every single event shop going forward. We need more of those in the game, and then there's going to be a bunch more events where you can get all the rewards and whatnot that we were talking about. So in any case, guys, that is why I think that you should be waiting. I do not think that Aeris or Khamet, especially not any of the epics on here, are worth spending summons that could be much better applied to some of the upcoming banners. In particular, if you do need an AoE mage, I think that Anora is much better than Khamet. I love Khamet. I think he's a great hero. I think having both of them would be fantastic as well. But Anora is going to do everything that Khamet does, plus more. She's better in more areas of the game. And I just don't think there's a reason to pull for Khamet when you can be guaranteed an Anora next week. Now, I know some of you may summon. I think if you do, the Awakenings that I recommended would be the ones to shoot for. The A1 on Aeris, and no Awakenings on Khamet, honestly. But if you really want to pull multiple copies, the A3, where he expands his range during the ultimate, is probably the most significant one. Those are my thoughts on this banner. Please do sound off in the comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Are you going to be pulling this weekend? Are you going to be saving? I personally am going to be scratching and saving everything I possibly can. I want to get several copies of Anora, especially if they do implement a 20x rate up. That would be phenomenal to see. In any case, y'all, take one moment, click that thumbs up button, like the video, do subscribe to my channel if you do enjoy my content, and I will catch you all next time.